Hey everyone, thanks for joining me for today's house overview of Gritti. This is a perfume house out of Italy. You can learn more about the brand directly on their website. There's some family history there. The perfumer for the entire range is Luca Gritti, and I have to date sampled something like 23 or 24 fragrances. I'll be talking about most of those in this video and maybe making mention of the others. And there are even more. I want to say there's something like 30 to 40. I haven't counted fragrances offered by the house. And I will link below the ones that I talk about today in case you're interested in trying them out. I have in hand 9 fragrances, 9 bottles, and I have a ton of samples that I purchased off of Scent Split, one of my favorite places to shop for fragrance samples these days. There's a discount code down in the description box. Actually, there'll be several discount codes if you want to shop around. Check out the description box for the details. When you go onto the brand website, one of the things you'll notice is that there are several collections to the house. There is a white collection, there's a privé collection, and several others, maybe 4 or 5 collections that each have a small collection of fragrances tailored to a certain sort of vibe. So I'm dividing this video into two. I want to talk about fragrances from what he calls the white collection first, and maybe a couple of others that might not be right in that collection, but that feel softer, delicate, more feminine to me. And then I want to talk about some of the heavy hitters from the house, one of which is a heavy hitter for me. I particularly love one of these, but I'll save those for last because they have heavier tones and maybe a little bit masculine leaning for some folks, particularly because I'm filming this in a warm weather season here in the Northern Hemisphere. So I'll stick to the ones that I think are amazing for this time of year first. And I'm coming right out of the gate with my absolute favorite from all that I have tried from Gritti. And this is either Adele or ADELÉ. Forgive me on the pronunciations here. I am going to do my best. And this is part of the white collection. One of the features of the bottles from this house is that they are turned on their side, almost like a library with the plaques on the side. So you can line them up next to each other on your shelf like books. Okay. The reason that this one is my favorite is because it is most classically aligned to a category of fragrances I have loved for a very long time, and that is feminine, robust white florals. I don't find this one to be overwhelming or super heady or narcotic or anything of that nature, but it is a hefty fragrance in that it's got a robust set of white florals that are noticeable upon the entire wear of the experience. On the website, the white collection, which this is a part of, is the homage or homage, depending on how you like to pronounce that, to the woman as an object of the perfumer's admiration. An interesting thing about the caps, they are all 100% handmade. Each pattern is composed of the finest golden powder fused into the creamy white resin. In the white collection, and so like I'll talk about a few of these first, the perfumer Luca Gritti turns to fruity, floral, and powdery notes, experimenting with them and creating new, unexpected combinations. Some of these are actually fairly familiar profiles, so I don't know that they're unexpected, but this is primarily a tuberose fragrance for me, and you know I am a tuberose lover through and through. There's also tobacco flower, an osmanthus note, amber, musk, and cedarwood in the base. And this just feels like classically feminine, floral, robust tuberose without being overwhelming. There are some tuberoses that may be a little bit much for folks. I think this one is on the softer side, very feminine, very round, like a voluptuous tuberose fragrance without being overwhelming. And I like it for that. So this is like classically me all day, every day, and my favorite from the brand. Originally, I had thought about ranking all of the ones that I've tried, and that just was so overwhelming because to me, a lot of the ones that I'm going to mention here at the top of the video are in a similar sort of vein to me, similar vibes, and I quite like them all the same, if you will. So I'll move on to Chantilly, which is also a top favorite. So Adele or Adele. Help me with the pronunciation there, my Italian speakers, but this one and the next maybe 3 are similar in terms of the amount of love that I have for them. One interesting thing I do want to note is the ones that I'm going to mention next are the next 3 are very sort of delicate and a softer scent bubble. They can be smelled around you and they do last quite a long time. However, when I first tested these, I kind of shunned these and said they were too light, not substantive enough, and not special enough. That can tend to happen, as I always say, when you just pick up a little 2 milliliter decant and have a very limited experience, especially if you are rushing through trying fragrances. So having the full bottle and being able to experience it for an entire day can sometimes be a different experience. I will also say when I sampled these, I was in an era where I really wanted more beast mode fragrances. And these days, at least right now, I'm enjoying a wide variety, including softer fragrances. Like there's a place for that in my life at the moment. And so, anyway, after all of that, Chantilly is the next one that I would like to talk about. So, this one is intended to smell, according to the perfumer, like a light, fruity dessert crowned with a cloud of delicious, sweet whipped cream. I think all of that is true. It doesn't smell gourmand and edible to me, but it does smell light and whipped and fruity and floral. And although it's light and whipped, it also has a sort of a creamy undercarriage undertone to it that I really appreciate. This is delicate and feminine and fun. It has a very happy, sort of warm weather feel to it. This makes you feel very princess like when you wear it. In fact, it's along the same lines in terms of the texture of the fragrance, the feel of the fragrance on you, as like Princess by Kilian. They don't smell alike, but I'm talking about the texture of the fragrance, the way that it plays on you, Oriana, those kinds of fragrances, similar to that in terms of the sort of whipped nature of this. It has fruity and citrusy top notes, and the heart is apple, coconut, blackcurrant flower, vanilla, powderiness, musk in the base. Yeah, this is like an everyday, fluffy, pretty girl fragrance. Love this. Really, really good. Very close behind in terms of a favorite next to Adele. Then I'm going to talk about the tutus, the original. Well, I don't know if it's original, but the pink tutu bottle and then tutu blanc. Let's go to tutu blanc first. It is an ode to the ballet dancers, a delicate gourmand composition, notes of raspberry mousse, rose petals, marshmallows, creating the harmony between the heart's creamy sweetness and top fresh fruity nuances. This is the type of light, subtle, delicate fragrance that keeps you sniffing and coming back for more. It is the lightness of this that makes it the most intriguing. It smells really, really good in the air. Grapefruit, blackcurrant, coconut, apple at the top, the heart, jasmine, rose, and heliotrope. I won't read the notes for all of these perfumes, I promise, but for these, raspberry, vanilla, amber, and musk in the base. And I would say it is delicate fruitiness, a lovely floral perfumey touch. It's fluffy, it's airy, it's light, it's bright. It is just, I think the two words I would use for the one, two, three, four, five fragrances I'm going to talk about first is delicate femininity, like pretty and sweet and fluffy in the most mindful and most well-mannered of ways. Tutu Blanc. So then we go to Tutu in the pink bottle, and it is very, very similar to Tutu Blanc. If you imagine that the Blanc has more of like a day-to-day easy wear, this one, the main difference is that this one has a pink champagne note that actually you experience throughout the entire fragrance, which is intended, rightfully so, to lend a light and cheerful mood to this fragrance. The notes are very similar with the exception of the pink champagne, and I think this has a touch more powderiness to it, but this is also, it smells how the bottle looks. Very pink, very girly, very feminine, and in a very light and wispy way, not overwhelming, obnoxious, or anything. It's a very sort of edited and restrained version of a feminine girly fragrance, and it's really good. We go next to Monica that's in this matte bottle, and this one has the gold top with the family coat of arms that is embossed into the top of the bottle. This is an ode to the perfumer's wife named Monica, supposedly created 15 years ago but only released until now. You will have to forgive me for all of the fingerprints on this and the other gold tops that I'm going to show you. Sorry, I apologize for the messiness of this. This fragrance is like a fresh floral bouquet with some cool, maybe like purple touches on top of that. So, and I don't know what in the note structure is giving it that. It features a note of peony, which is the perfumer's wife's favorite note. Like, how sweet is that? And then there's jasmine here, sandalwood, white musk in the heart. The base is amber, vanilla, a woody accord, but it feels like a cacophony of other white florals. It has just a touch of an indolic nature to it, not too bad. And there's something intoxicating about this in the air. There's this unexpected nature to this, and it's unusual, a very unusual fragrance. I haven't smelled anything else like this. My husband loves this on me, so this is a winner in our house. And I really like this, long lasting, very feminine. Again, that's the theme for the bottles I've just talked about, feminine, pretty, like the highest expression of feminine energy across these bottles, and particularly this one, Monica, fabulous. One that I fell in love with as I was getting to know the decants that I ordered for this video is AQUA INCANTA, and this is actually on the way to me. I found it on FragranceNet for under $100, and I think there were only a few left. So if you're interested, check that out. Otherwise, I will link other places below where it's available. Oh my goodness. I do have to say that I want to talk about this one and Beyond the Wall at the same time because they are very, very similar to each other. But there's a key difference that made me go for Aqua Incanta versus Beyond the Wall. So, one of you, an audience member, suggested that I try Beyond the Wall. If that was you, if you would please just raise your hand in the comments so I could thank you because it is a fabulous fragrance. I can't recommend these two highly enough. But let me talk about Aqua Incanta to start because it is on the way. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Beautifully powdery. I'm the kind of person that can enjoy a powdery fragrance. I have a powdery fragrance video that I did probably 3 years ago at this point and has some oldies but goodies in it if you wanna check that out. I enjoy a powdery feminine fragrance. If it's overwhelmingly powdery, I have to be really thoughtful about whether it's something that I care to wear on a frequent basis or just have on the shelf and sniff from time to time. This one pushes right up against that boundary. Like if it were any more powdery, it would be into too powdery territory, but it sits on the safe side in a way that I really like. There is a sweetness to it, a gentleness. It reminds me of the cartoon image of, like, laying on a cloud, a fluffy cloud of comfort. If I had known what the notes were in this before I tried it, I might not have, picked out the sample. It's heavy on iris, and I like a good iris note. However, I have plenty of iris fragrances, and so I might not have, gone out of my way to try this one because I kinda have I have my little iris collection that I love. The description here, "A moment, magic that intoxicates the senses, a sublime trail in the air, shrouding, shaking, seducing." Maybe that ending part was a little bit much, but it definitely is magical and intoxicating, this fragrance. There's iris, violet, camellia at the top, in the heart or the mid, rose, powder, vanilla in the base, white musk, ambrette, tonka beans. This is fabulous, warm, cozy, feminine, ethereal, fluffy. I mean, I can't, I'm speechless. I could not stop sniffing myself when I tried this. Like, I knew that I wanted this. The interesting thing was I tried this on and thought, "Oh, that's powdery. Let me give that a second." And then I went to Beyond the Wall. So this one is supposed to be thrilling and breezy, happy-go-lucky only if you dare. This one has an artemisia note and violet, black tea, some milky accord, some cardamom. They feel very similar on the skin, and in the dry down, they sort of depart, like the trains go in different directions, whereas Beyond the Wall becomes a little bit more herbal, milky, tea-like, whereas Aqua Incanta, oh, woo, is like this creaminess, this fluffy powderiness. The musk is a little bit more dominant here. It's fluffier. I don't know. So Beyond the Wall is a little bit more milky and herbal, whereas Aqua Incanta is more feminine and creamy and fluffy at the same time. And I couldn't get enough of Aqua Incanta when it was all said and done. However, I do think Beyond the Wall is fabulous as well. I give Aqua Incanta a full 10 out of 10. I give Beyond the Wall a good 9 out of 10. It's pretty dang good. And I was very close to getting a bottle of this and may go ahead and get a bottle of Beyond the Wall in the future. But for now, Aqua Incanta is coming home and man, is it good. One that I think is super pretty and worth trying out. And I'm not going to try to say this name because I'll embarrass myself. So let me put it up here on the screen. This is so pretty and delicate. All of these that I'm talking about have this delicate nature to them that actually becomes an intriguing sort of through line factor for all of these, where you want to come in closer and sniff more because they're interesting. Now, some of these, like the tutus, for example, they may not be the most original note profiles, whereas I think Monica definitely has a lot of originality to it. Chantilly, I think, is like sort of an expected profile, but still nicely done. Adele or Adele is also, somewhat predictable in terms of being like a tuberose floral, but they're all pretty. They're all pretty. It's interesting with this whole conversation. Something doesn't have to be a work of art or completely unique for me to fall in love with it. If something smells good on me, even if it's a predictable scent, that's what's important to me in particular. So, back to this one. This is supposed to be poetic sensuality, strong delicacy, shocking candor, sensual contrast, profound heat, a dream. So, this features a sparkling and joyful rose composition with some citrus, vanilla and musk in the base with amber. So it has a warmth, a comforting factor. The base of this is a feminine hug in a bottle, but the rose and citrus interplay is so nicely done. Neither one juts out. There's no sharpness to this. It's really lovely, rounded, full experience of a fragrance. This is lovely. Check this out. Floral, delicate, comfortable, comforting, and very, very pretty. All of the ones that I've talked about are going to make you feel super pretty on. Some in a more sort of youthful, joyful way, and others in a more mature way. I would say Monica and ADELÉ are the more mature ones, and the one that I just talked about is maybe in the middle, whereas the rest are more joyous and youthful. Okay, and then another one that I would say check out if you like a floral, fruity fragrance. Ooh, this is so fun. It's called SETA, and my description of this is it smells like candy gum that is in the grape flavor. So good. Great with maybe some other fruits. It's not like totally purpley grape. This is a fun one. Very feminine, again, just like the others. Fruity, some floral nature to it. This one is actually part of the Privé collection, which has the black velvet exterior on the bottle. It opens with a sleek raspberry mousse accord and embraces the skin with the smell of fresh morning rose petals. There's also iris and cedarwood and musk, but it smells like candy, like a fruity candy to me, and I really, really like that. This is another warm, feminine fragrance that I think is worth checking out. Really, really quite nice. Almost ordered a bottle of this one too, but I promised myself only one additional bottle from this house for the time being, maybe more later. Now, at the risk of ruffling some feathers, if you like this, let me know. I did not have the best experience with Jacqueline. I like the name of it. I've had some lovely Jacquelines in my past and have some great Jacquelines in my life right now. This was airy and soft and woody and spicy. And I could see some appeal to this. I think it's a fine fragrance, if you will. However, the others are more appealing to me personally right now. And this one just didn't call to me quite the same way. But I do think it is worth, I mean, everything that I'm going to talk about is worth sampling. There was nothing I smelled that I thought, ooh, this is just stinky or not worth the time. They're all worth a good sampling experience, including Jacqueline. But this is one that I think I will continue to pass on at least for a while. And I also am going to pass on FENICE. So the bottle looks very pretty. It's got the velvet pink exterior, if I remember correctly. And I wrote down on the blotter here, oud, powder, and purple. Those were the words that came to mind as I tried this. Well, if anything was stinky, maybe it was this one. And I wouldn't call it offensive at all. It just wasn't for me. I did not appreciate the combination of notes here. My husband did think that this smelled bad. He did not like this at all. He got almost offended by this and rated it at a 3. Yeah, I'm not far behind. I wasn't into FENICE. Like, of all the beautiful offerings, I would skip FENICE completely, give Jacqueline a try, and the other ones that I mentioned are definitely full bottle worthy and worth sniffing at the very least. I have 2 fragrances here that are neither in the sort of feminine, floral, fruity, or light, or fluffy, or any of those categories that I just talked about, and they're not quite, like, in the deep, sensual, heavy fragrance territory that I'm gonna get into. These are sort of in the middle, so I wanted to mention them. I think they are both lovely. This one I am gonna attempt to pronounce, and I don't know how accurate I'm gonna be. Rebrode? Or if you're like me in the States, Rebrode, but I think you say the E, Rebrode, something like that. Anywho, this felt very sandalwoody to me. I won't look up the notes because that's what I get to my nose, like a sandalwood base. It reminds me a little bit of Santal. Is it Masoya? Is that the correct pronunciation from Hermes? They're sort of softer skin scent sandalwood that is fabulous. This is spicy and fresh, and sandalwood was what came to mind for me. I think this is really nice, one that I'd like to revisit as we get closer to the fall and winter and I get back into like the sandalwood and woody phase. Very nicely done, very restrained and edited as well. It's like it just has just the right amount of the different facets of it to make a full fragrance without anything sticking out farther than the other or overpowering the other. Quite lovely. And then I also had the opportunity to try puro. The description here is that it reminded me of fresh air, like when you open the window on a spring day. You know, when you first open a window on the first warm day of spring and you get that fresh air, the morning air. This one has some citrusy tones to it. The opening was a little bit vegetal and in a good way. Like it smelled like fresh vegetables, maybe something like a tomato and some leafy greens combined, and then that sort of fades away and you're left with this fresh, citrusy, airy, maybe even musky fragrance that I think is pretty dang good. This one is of interest to me as well. It's sort of like on the keep trying this list and see if you would like a bottle of it. So next I'm going to go into 6 fragrances that I find to be heavier overall in terms of the texture, the tone, the overall wearing experience. They have heft to them. One of them is actually considered a bit of a summer fragrance, and I think one could be a spring and summer fragrance because I talked about it in a recent spring video. Look, 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 look. Feast your eyes upon one of my favorites from the house. Again, pardon these dang fingerprints. I'm trying to get them off and they just don't come off. Duchessa. Or is it Duchessa? Somebody help me out. I've been saying Duchessa for months now, so we're going to stick with that. It smells how this bottle looks. This is one of the sexiest. I mean, just sniffing it from the nozzle, you're just like, ugh. It's this black cherry that is it's a sweet black cherry to me, very reminiscent of Lost Cherry from Tom Ford. Like if Lost Cherry had a winter cousin that lived up near the North Pole, it would probably be something like this fragrance. Very sultry, deep, and sexy. There's saffron flower, jasmine cloves. I don't get like distinct clove, but I bet that adds just this nuance of like aromatic spiciness to this. Cocoa, iris, almond, and brown sugar. Brown sugar. Of course, that makes me think of the D'Angelo song, Brown Sugar. This is part of the Privé line that Luca Gritti created. And this line is supposed to blend two accords. I'm not quite sure what I'm supposed to be picking out as the two accords here. The sillage is warm, balsamic, intoxicating, sweet as liquor. Yes, this very much smells like it has a liquor accord in there. Of course, I don't pick that up out of the notes. Maybe there are some other notes that create that. I'm not quite sure. But it's sweet. Look, you hear that swishing around? That is because I've worn this a lot. I'm not quite sure where it is, obviously, I can't see. But man, boozy, deep, sweet cherry, like a darkness. There's a darkness in this fragrance that just I mean, it does it for me. This is sexiness in a bottle, alluring nature in a bottle. So freaking good, and I think I put this in a video that was, like, worth every penny, expensive and worth every penny, because I think this one came out on the market at close to $400, like, in the high 300s, at least here in the States, and while I don't wanna pay that price and I wanna get everything on sale, when I tell you that this is so worth the full retail price and every penny of any sale price you can get, fabulous. Magnificent 10 out of 10 cherry focused fragrance. Really, really good. Can't recommend this one enough. Can't recommend it enough. So friggin' good. The next one is from the Ivy collection, and this collection is supposed to reflect Luca Gritti's personality, passions, and desires. Tenacious and strong, just like Ivy, these perfumes and their creator make heads turn and stand out. So let me introduce you, if you don't know about Kill the Lights, one that I liked when it came, and then I think this was one that was sent to me by So Avant Garde. And then the more that I tried it and sniffed it, the more I was like, "Oh my goodness, this is a fabulous, almost like a gritty leather." And the leather is just pronounced enough that you know it's a leather without it going way into masculine territory with accompanying notes. It's almost like a light leather. Like if you can imagine Imma put up a coat from Quince, a jacket, a leather jacket. This is what comes to mind for me. This cut of jacket, the color of the jacket, the whole sort of feel and vibe of this jacket comes to mind when I smell this fragrance. So a gentleman can wear it and smell amazing and sexy and alluring. A lady could wear this and smell pretty badass, but still maintain her, feminine edge. Well, what I was saying about the picture is like if you can imagine a coat like this that's appropriate for warm weather, this is a year-round fragrance in my opinion. But the scent of it is light enough that you could wear it in, like I said, warm weather, but it gives that cold weather jacket feel, which is, I don't know, it's just there's some magic in this bottle. And the more that I smell it, the more intoxicating. These notes, artemisia, davana, juniper, in the mid, pink pepper, hay, and leather. Has a bit of an aromatic touch. The soft leatheriness of this is just amazing to me. And I feel like there's some cool and warm woodiness in the base. And it's worth trying out if you are someone with a little bit more adventurous taste. So, ladies, if you have adventurous taste or if you like unisex scents and you don't mind something that maybe on certain days can lean a tad masculine, this is a must try fragrance. Gentlemen, this is a slam dunk for you. Take it from someone who enjoys fragrances on gentlemen. Of course, my husband being first and foremost. If he wore this, it would get all my attention that day. Kill the lights. I want to talk next about Hysterica, which I could have put at the top of the video with the other very feminine fragrances, but this one is a little bit heavier. Now, you can wear this in spring, perhaps in summer. It's a lot more sort of bold and daring than the ones that I talked about at the top of the video, which I think are more mass appealing and easy to wear. This one is a very particular scent for a certain kind of wearer, particularly those of you that enjoy honey. There is definitely a huge heaping dose of honey. At the top, plum, white pepper, dark honey, darkness. And in the heart, tuberose, gardenia, bubblegum. I mean, it is very much a bubblegummy, tuberosy, sweet, honeyed fragrance, intoxicating. And in the base, rosewood, vanilla, licorice. Like liquor? Licorice. Accords, licorice. This is bold, in your face, tuberose, sweet honey, bubblegumminess, very feminine. The opening is a tad bit rude for about 30 to 45 seconds where you're like, ooh, I'm assaulted. Give that a second to chill out. And then if you like honey and tuberose, this is a must try fragrance. Very strong, very feminine on the dry down, but powerful and sensual. So the first one that I mentioned is the tuberose fragrance that is more sort of traditional. This one, Hysterica, is the cloying version of this. For those of you that don't like tuberose or honey, you're going to hate this. I particularly like the way they play in here. I will say you have to be in the mood for Hysterica. It's a kind of fragrance that will wear you if you don't know what you're doing or if you're out of your league with big florals. This is a big, bold, punchy, in your face floral. I don't especially love the next fragrance enough to think about a full bottle of it. However, I want to give it its due, its props. And I can see why people really like this because it is magnificent in its own right. This is Mango Oud, and this is a heavier one for me. It gives me vibes of like a karaoke heart, if you have tried that from Juice Box, with a lot of extra added mango to it. So the top notes here, guava, mango, and neroli. In the heart of the fragrance, osmanthus, ylang-ylang, coconut milk, and in the base, vanilla, amber, and oud. This felt super sweet to me in a way that could potentially be overwhelming, particularly in heat, because with a name like mango, I think about summer, like a summer scent. However, this is very much a fall and winter fruity, oody bomb. Very, very nice. I don't particularly think I want this, but I give this as a scent on its own a full like 8 or 9 out of 10. It's pretty dang good. So if you like mango and you like oud and the idea of those combined into a thick, long lasting, sultry fragrance is interesting to you, definitely give this one a sniff. I do get some floral touches and just an overall tropical feel, like tropical plus oud in here. Good. I also wanted to give a shout out to a fragrance that I don't think I'll be purchasing, but I think is lovely, Magnifica Luxe. So, the description here, a swaying smoky iris fragrance with hints of resins and woods, highlighted with cotton, flower delicacy, and smoothness of ladanum. This is like light, purpley, cottony florals with a base of woodiness and maybe resins like is in the description. And there's a myrrh note that stands out to me as I'm smelling this. Lovely, heavier, maybe unisex leaning into masculine territory. Worth checking out. Very complex and interesting. It does have enough floral touches and feminine, maybe sweetness to also be appealing to ladies that don't mind a fragrance that is more in the unisex territory. Magnifica Luxe. I forgot to mention a fragrance that I do like and should probably be in that in-between territory. I don't have a sample of it anymore, but I did try it a while ago, and that is Pomelo Sorrento, I believe is the name. And it's like a beautiful, zingy, bright, grapefruity fragrance with a touch of sweetness that would be fantastic for spring and summer and maybe early fall. Very fresh, very bright, very zesty. I liked it a lot. I do have a couple of grapefruit fragrances and other citruses that I'm working my way through, and I don't have interest in adding to that collection, at least not today in the moment, but I highly endorse that one if you are a citrus lover and you like grapefruit in particular. Well, pomelo and grapefruit are closely related, as I learned as I've been on my fragrance exploration train here, and it's nice. It's a nice one. Also tried Syracusa. And I didn't care for that one quite as much. I would be willing to try it again. It was probably 2 years ago, maybe, that I tried that one. And I found it to be a little bit abrasive, particularly on the opening in a way that was off-putting for me, but it was a very simple sampling experience that I had with it, and I'd like to try that one again. I think a lot of people love that. Have you tried Syracusa? Do drop that down in the comments if you would. I also felt the same way about Gossip Night, which is one that I think was really popular on fragrance YouTube for a while, particularly early 2024, maybe late 2023, somewhere in there. I don't quite remember the time frame for it. And I just didn't get along with it. For me, it felt a little bit on the screechier side. There's a peach note that just didn't sit well with me. I think it was peach. And that's another one that I'd be willing to try again. I'm not sure that I gave it a fair shake when I tried it before. I will end with a fragrance that I do have in my collection. I have worn and I thought it was fine. Like I liked it. I don't think I like it enough to keep it in my collection. I think this is one that I'm going to be passing along. I want to give it its flowers or its what are the notes in here? Give it its amber and oud, give it its saffron and mango because I can see the potential for it and I think someone will love this. And this is Rialto, which is very complex and very deep. I think for me, I'm a little bit sort of conflicted with what I'm supposed to be smelling here. At times, I smell a lot of saffron. At other times, I smell sort of like a tropical juiciness. All the time, I smell like an oudiness, a light oudiness in the base. I don't mean light in that you don't smell it. I mean that some oud can be very in your face and pronounced, and then other oud is a little bit more subtle, relaxed. It's just more chill. This is a very chill oud. Other notes here: iris, well, tropical fruits, maybe that's where I'm getting that from. Mango, bergamot, saffron. There's amber oud and white musk in the base. And I just find this to be not a me fragrance. Like I don't feel like myself when I'm wearing this. I feel like I'm wearing somebody else's perfume and I'm trying it out to see if I like it. And so this is one that I will be putting on Mercari. If you're interested in my Mercari offerings, the link is in the description box, but it's lovely. I just don't think it's for me. So I don't have bad things to say about this. I can't figure out this fragrance and how it's supposed to smell on me. And so, with so many beautiful fragrances that I enjoy, there's no need to like struggle through a fragrance when I've given it 2 or 3 tries and it's just, we're not vibing. And that's okay. That happens sometimes. So, I'd love to hear your thoughts and what are your favorite gritty fragrances? Tell us down in the description box. Is there anything else that I should have tried that I did not try that you think is worth a good sniff? Let us all know. I hope that you enjoyed this exploration into the house of Gritti. I have enjoyed exploring them. I'm a lot more partial to the fragrances at the top of the video just because that is the vibe for me right now in terms of feminine floral fragrances. And then, of course, let's not forget Duchessa, Kill the Lights, and Hysterica when I want something a little bit deep and sensual and sexy. All right, friends. Hope you enjoyed. I will see you in the next video. Take care.